This thing on? Hello friends and family, it's me, Jessie. So today I'm coming to you with a slightly, maybe, more professional setup today. If you've noticed, I've got a background. It's my bathroom curtain. It's so creative. I'm trying to do my best with what I have, and let me tell you, it is a hot mess. But anyway, I am here today to give you guys a story time video, which is something that I have never done. So about 2 years ago, I started getting into rock climbing, which is one of my favorite sports. I actually used to climb competitively on a team at my university for a little while. Not that great anymore, a little bit out of shape. We're gonna try to get back into it before I go to China because the climbing is great there. But anyway, I was rock climbing in my school's rec and wellness center. And we have like a 50-foot wall in our gym. And in our gym, because the wall is 50 feet, that's where all of the top roping is done. And I was actually in the bouldering cave, so I wasn't tied into anything. I was free climbing and with the spotter. To be honest, I think the spotting was terrible on this. Let this be a lesson to you at the end of this. Please pay attention to the people that you're spotting if you're rock climbing with somebody. I was free climbing the wall on like a slab climb. So a slab climb is gonna be, the wall looks like this, and then this is, pretend you're a little climber, and you're gonna climb up like this, and you're gonna get to the end, and you go, and then you jump off the end of the route. And so I was free climbing like super dramatically, and my friend, and I think also my crush, so it was like a little extra motivation at the time, was going, yeah, Jessie, get it, go get it, girl. You can get it, Jessie, go get it. And so, of course, having all this gassing up, I was just like, yeah, Jessie, you can get it, go. I'm gonna get it. So I stood up and I reached and I kept reaching and I finally got I got that hold, and it was such a satisfying moment. And then I went to pull up and my foot stuck. So basically, when my foot was like on the peg below it, or the foothold below it, my shoe, when I lifted it to come off, kind of stuck because the rubber was, doing its friction thing. And so my foot stuck, which caused me to propel and like kind of fall like that. And so my body just comes like ricocheting. My body just comes falling to the ground, and it lands and it goes like this, but it didn't land once. So I bounced up. And so basically I bounced and I came up and I hit the ground. And when I bounced, remember this is my back went, so I bounced and then I hit the ground again. And that was like hands down, like I've had a lot of injuries. Like I tore my ACL, like these days, they're all fake. So like I've had some intense pain, and this is by far the most intense pain I've ever felt. And so I was like writhing in pain, like you would do when you just fractured your spine. And I knew something was wrong, and the first thing I thought was, okay, wiggle your toes. Can you wiggle your toes? Yes, okay, at least you can walk, you're not paralyzed, that's great. We're already starting this off on a better foot than we could have been on. I was writhing on the ground, and it ended up being so much pain that I couldn't stand laying in the position I was in. And like, you're not supposed to do this. Like if you fall, you're supposed to stay in the position that you fell in, because if I had had some bone spurs poking out, it could have severed the nerves in my my spinal cord, that's what it's called. Then a bunch of people came over to hold my head and tell me I was gonna be okay. And I was actually in great spirits. I was like, yeah, no, it's gonna be fine. I'm not gonna have to get an ambulance, am I? And then the director, we'll call him Michael came over to me and he's like, Jessie, no, I really think you should take an ambulance. It's probably not a good idea to walk, because people saw me fall, so duh, they knew I shouldn't have walked. And I was like, no, I'm gonna be fine. I'll go to the hospital, but I'm just gonna drive myself to the hospital. It's gonna be fine. We don't need to pay $3,000 for an ambulance. I don't wanna do that whole dramatic thing. And the way that the rec is set up is, so there's 3 stories and a track. So people run around and watch you climb. And the climbing gym part of it is open, so you can look down like a fishbowl, and it's on the bottom floor. And you can, the top floor of the track kind of circles around the highest part of the climbing wall, but you can see into the bouldering cave, which is where I fell. And so people had already started to gather along the railing, and we're looking over to see what was going on, because let's be honest, what's more exciting at 6 o'clock on a Friday night than someone falling in the climbing gym? They ended up calling an ambulance anyway, and the EMTs arrive, and they're well, she seems like she's in pretty great spirits, so you probably just strained a muscle in your back, just a back sprain, you're probably fine. Because I was kind of making jokes with the EMTs the whole time. I was in really good humor, because I'm not the type to just because I'm in a lot of pain, I'm not gonna be be a asshole about it. I'm gonna try to make light of the situation. That's sort of like what my nature is. And so they put me on the backboard, and then I get up, like we're wheeling out, and they like wrap me in like a neck brace thing. And so I'm like this, being wheeled out of like the Rec and Wellness Center with a bunch of people staring at me because I'm strapped down to a backboard with a neck brace on my neck. And so they're just wheeling me out, and like every time they hit a bump, it's like, so like imagine when you hit a bump in the car and how that kind of hurts your butt. Now imagine that with like a broken back. Yeah, it was not very fun. So we get to the hospital, and they wheel me into the ER, and it's like a really dramatic night at the hospital, like so dramatic. And I didn't realize that this part of Alabama gets crazy at 8:30 on a Friday. They wheeled me in for a CT scan, and I was wearing pants that had like metal aglets on them. And so like the guy who was doing the CT scan had to like really awkward, because he didn't want me to move because I just had a traumatic back injury. Like really awkwardly the whole time apologizing, just like was trying to untie the part of my shorts, and he's just like, I'm sorry. So they wheeled me back into the ER to my little like curtained off holding area. So I'm laying in the ER by myself, and I have like nothing to do because I have my phone, which is dead, I'm pretty sure. So a lot of it was like just staring at the ceiling. It was awful. And then the man next to me starts to make small talk with me. And I'm pretty sure the man next to me was one of those dudes that was like an opiate seeker. So the whole time he was like making up this thing about his hand. I was eavesdropping, because what else do you do in the hospital when you're bored as all get? And so he kept talking about how he like had surgery in his hand to the nurse, and he like really sounded like he was lying. And then he was like, yeah, I slammed my hand in the car door and I just had to come straight here. And I think I like messed up something in my hand. I need some painkillers, man. I need some narcotics. Like he wasn't specific about narcotics, but he was just like, I need some Loratab. Like that's what I need. My hand, it hurts. I have to go to work. And then the lady, like the nurse caught on quickly, and she was just like, no, I mean, we can give you some Toradol, but we did an x-ray and your hand is just sprained. This man was like trying to get painkillers the whole time and like listening to what was going on with me. And then I had to pee really badly. And so the nurse came over to me, and I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. And I knew it was coming. I was gonna have to use the bedpan, and I did not feel comfortable in a full ER using a bedpan, having never used a bedpan before. I didn't realize how shy of a peer I was until this moment. But so she brings me the bedpan, and I was like, no. Like, you're gonna have to take me to the bathroom. Like, wheel me to the bathroom, I'll suffer. I'm not doing a bedpan with this man talking to me. And then the man who had been talking to me through the curtain the whole time, you know, pain hand, looks like, says over the curtain, he says, if you're uncomfortable peeing in the bedpan, then I can just get up and move somewhere else. Just like, huh? Like, really? You're gonna make me like 10 times more uncomfortable by saying that, just by like acknowledging that you know knowing is what's going on. It's just like, why, man? Why would you mention it? So then I was just like, mm-mm. And then I like gestured over to him with the nurse, and I was just like, no, like I'm just not feeling this. And then the nurse was like, okay, I understand. So she gets me in the wheelchair, and she like wheels me over. And then I get up, and then I go to the bathroom, and I didn't even have to go that bad. I think my body was just like, ah! You know, because I was like in a lot of pain. And then I like walked over, like shuffled, because I like couldn't walk really well at all. It hurt really bad to walk. So I shuffled over, and I collapsed back in the wheelchair, and then I was in a lot of pain. That was like, she was right, it was a bad idea. So I laid back down, and I was just like kind of like moaning in pain because it hurt so bad. And because like every time like I walked, it irritated where I fractured it. And so I'm laying there for a longer period of time, and I'm thinking, okay, so I've gone to the bathroom, and they've done my MRI or CAT scan or whatever it was. And then so I should be fine after this. Like, we're gonna be out of here soon. And so I texted my friend John. So more people start coming into the ER as I'm waiting on my friends. And like, these were two interesting characters. One of them was really scary. Like, a lot of this was like, wow, I did not realize how much people seek prescription drugs. And two, someone got shot. So basically, this one dude is wheeled in, and there was like this really heavy breathing. It was like really labored, really like they were obviously struggling to breathe. And I feel kind of bad imitating it. Like it was just like a, that was like what it sounded like when he was breathing, just like he was really struggling to breathe. It was really sad. It was really sad to listen to. And so then the nurse comes in, and she's talking to like the people, like the EMTs, and they're like rushing around this guy. And I hear them say that they've given him 3 things of Narcan, which is so much Narcan. I don't know the milliliters of Narcan, like don't ask me, but that's a lot of Narcan. So I assume that he had taken a lot of an opiate. And then the nurse says that his roommate had called, and that he had overdosed on hydrocodone pills, and then they proceeded to like give him more Narcan progressively. So I think they gave him like 5 shots of Narcan, and like the whole time they were like wrestling with this dude. And the nurse popped in for a second, and she was like, "I'm sorry, this is taking so long. Overdose." And then I was just like, go, like it's fine. Like they like go over to take care of this guy, and then he like wakes up. I'm pretty sure he's kind of like mumbling to himself, and he's obviously really confused. And the nurses goes, "Oh no, he doesn't know what's going on. He just grabbed my wrist." And he like grabbed the nurse's wrist and like started to squeeze it really tight, and he started to go into like fight or flight mode, and you could just hear like the rattling around of all of like the IVs, drips and stuff on him. But this guy was freaking out, so then they ended up they got him like calmed down and strapped him down and like kind of sedated. I'm pretty sure they had to sedate him. Yeah, they did sedate him actually. They sedated him and then wheeled him off into the psychological ward. So hopefully he got the help that he needed. That's all I heard from that guy. And then after all of that discourse had happened, I thought, okay, maybe I'm next. And like the guy next to me had been long sent away because they needed the rooms. And so then another guy comes in, and the first 2 things I just hear a lot of commotion again. He goes into the same curtain, which is like a curtain down. There's like the man, like hand guy, me, hand guy, and then the other curtain room. And so then another guy comes in, and the first 2 things I hear, "I got shot in the ass and in the arm." And so this guy's wheeled in and he's been shot, and I basically got to listen to them extract a bullet from this guy's bicep and from his butt cheek, which was not fun to listen to either. But he was in and out fairly quickly. The police were in there. It was like I said, it was a really crazy night in the ER. So it settles down, and the nurse, like the doctor and like the ER doctor who was like working at the time, comes over to me and she's like, "So I have some bad news for you." And I was like, "It's not just a sprain?" And she's like, "It's not a sprain. It's not a sprain. Sorry girl, but you actually fractured your L5 and your L2 vertebra." I actually didn't find out about the L2 until a lot later, but because my spine has no curve to it anymore. I have scoliosis, fibromyalgia, and sciatica because I broke my back. And let me tell you, that's a lot of old lady pain to have at 22. She was like, "Just like limit your physical activity. Here's some Norco." And I don't really do well on painkillers because I'm small and I have a low tolerance for things like that. So she gives me the Norco on like an empty stomach, and I haven't eaten anything. And I text John and I'm like, "Okay, I'm ready to go. Like, can you please pick me up?" And so they come to pick me up from the hospital, and they wheeled me out, and I was like, I think I looked like I'd had it that day, because John said that he was like, "You know, you really looked like you just really had been having a bad day." And that was his way of, I think, nicely saying that I looked like awful. And so then they wheeled me over to the entrance of the hospital to like sign out, and my friend Sarah Grace, John, and Jack were there. And John said hi, and like as soon as he like raised his hand to like wave hi to me, I like was holding a can of like a cup of water, and I just went and just like hurled right in front of him into this cup, like right before I was about to get in his car. And my friend Sarah Grace comes up to me, she takes the cup of vomit, and then she throws it away. Like, shout out to Sarah Grace, you're a great friend. So they like place me carefully in the car like I'm a broken doll. I mean, I guess I was a broken doll, but they placed me ever so carefully into the car, and they drive me home. So they basically just like picked me up and like took me upstairs and like laid me into my bed. And like Jack, he was dating Sarah Grace at the time, but he leaned me back ever so slowly, and he was like, don't use your abs, just lay down and don't get back up. As far as like the after effects of when I broke my back are concerned, basically I do have limited mobility in my back and my hips now. My back, instead of like having like a little nice curve, like this is like the S curve of your spine, and like here's your skull. Instead of my back having like a curve right here, it's like completely straight. So I'm like, my back, I'm sure you can tell, like if you look at, sorry about my bath curtain, if you look at my posture, even if I stand like completely straight, there's still like a hump in my back right here. And this is called a step. Oh, it looks so pronounced from right here. But basically this step is like where my spine is out of alignment. As far as like pain and stuff is concerned, I pretty much always hurt. Like it always hurts to sleep, to lay down in certain positions. Like the most comfortable thing for me to sleep in is a hammock, to be honest. But overall, like as long as I stay active and like I do things to keep my body loose and I do stretches and stuff, it's overall pretty manageable. Anyways, if you guys have anything you want to see, or you just want to say something in general, any questions about breaking your back, or if you broke anything, like if you've broken your back or you've broken a bone, leave it down in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you guys soon.